Hi,
How
Ashley.
are you?
I'm doing good. I'm liking the glasses.
Thank you. They're actually $12, Amazon, and
Ooh.
they're just made so I don't go blind looking at my computer screen for 45 hours a day.
Well, listen, you're the expert of all of this. I am intruding on unfamiliar territories. You are the expert of interviews, public speaking, everything. You're a concierge of networking, among many other things. So, it's so funny, Ashley. I did a couple of other interviews, my first couple of ones, put it that way.
Yeah.
I kept looking up like this at my camera. And so I said, well, what's done is done. I'm an amateur.
Nobody
So
cares.
I'm
Usually
sitting
there's
here
a
looking
kid
like
coming in.
this.
There's a kid coming in, usually in the background, a cat jumping on the table. Like the new norm is as professional as you could possibly make it.
Hey,
However, children come in and cats and other things and phone calls. It's just crazy. So.
well, look, to my defense, not for nothing, I'm used to working behind the scenes, not in front of the scenes and stuff. I leave the front, I leave that for my clients and other people like yourself. And just let me do what I do behind the scenes. I'm good with that. And crowd control.
Perfect.
Move over here, please. Let's go eat here. Come on, dinner time.
Go places. Yeah, it's like we gotta eat now. You gotta hydrate. All right, next thing.
Come on, what's next? All right, put that up there. Get these lights. Music, cue,
I remember. You're like an air traffic controller on speed.
Yeah, I know how to make my clients look good. Yeah. I know how to say, you want to look like this, your posture, here's your speech. He wrote it. This is what we want you to say. This is what's going to capture your audience. But for me to get up there, I'm like, I did a TV interview once. Well, not once, I did it several times. But I think the biggest network was Fox 29 for me. But prior to that, this network invited me to be a expert panelist for them, and they had so much fun with me that they turned around before the show got canceled. They turned around and asked me to be a regular. So I was like, oh, this is awesome. Well, this is what was so funny. So the director said, I'm sorry, the producer. Yeah. So the producer goes, Gracie, you're a riot. You're a breath of fresh air. He says, but you put all that energy when you're in the green room. Because I came in there, I was cutting up and cracking up and making people laugh. And I came bearing with gifts and stuff. And they said 5 o'clock in the morning, that's what we need. We need someone that's going to keep us alive and awake. And he says, then when you got in the camera, you were acting so well behaved, like a pupil in a Catholic school. I said, because I wanted to be on my best behavior. He says, I don't want that. I want you to be you. I was like, oh, okay.
We want you to be on drugs when you're on camera. We want you to have that same kind of energy. Yeah,
exactly. So let's talk about what you do, So I got to say, Ashley Owens, a personal friend of mine, love, adore her. She is fantastic. She is the concierge of so many great things, a benefit to a lot of business owners and a lot of entrepreneurs. In my interviews, guys, I'm always saying, entrepreneurs, business owners and stuff, because there is a difference. And in many cases, they're the same in one. Nowadays, in my experience, in my field, I'm coming across a lot of speakers and authors that are interested in our services and what we can do. And believe it or not, there's a lot that we can offer for those individuals who are their own brand. But you actually do so much for so many people on so many levels, and you're a TV host of your own show on several networks. I only know of 2, but is there a third one?
No, just 2.
Hey, look, you're on fire. I'm trying to keep up with you. I'm surprised I got that right. You have a concierge services. You do speaking engagements. You have a following. I went to one of your classes where this is a big introduction, a long one, but I promise I'll let you talk. I went to one of your events, workshops, and as you allow people to walk around and introduce themselves, I'll never forget how this one guy goes, yeah, I'm a big fan of yours. I'm a follower. Love your stuff. Love what you do. Thrilled to meet you in person. I was like, what?
Wow.
So,
Wow.
you know, you are just magnificent. So let's talk about a little bit about what you do, but I'm not worried
Sure.
about that too much because that's going to be in a Q&A written format,
Right.
not the interview. But let's talk a little bit about what you do. I want people to know from your own words exactly what you have your hands in, what you're doing, why you're doing it, and what you've been going through with this coronavirus.
Great question. So the lane that I stay in, yes, I'm a networking concierge. So I stay in the lane of networking. I don't dabble in sales. I don't dabble in personal branding. I stay in my lane. So there's a lot of people in my industry that do something similar where they teach on how to effectively network. We're all in the same sandbox, which is building different castles.
Right.
So my job right now, because the pandemic went from, I used to go to events with clients as an extension of them. Because when you network, it's good to have a buddy, have an extension of yourself there, have a champion in the room to be able to help, you know, manage the people around you and also to make good kind of introductions.
And that's how you and I met.
Yeah.
Because I was your client. You helped me out where I just.
You were one of my first clients. We were like figuring it out. We're like, okay, sure, we'll do anything.
And you were such a tremendous asset to me because I just couldn't do everything at one time. And I think I was limited on, if I fidget around, number one, I got a very uncomfortable chair. And two, anything and everything scratches me or itches me. I had minimum staff available to me.
Yeah.
I was partnering up with people, and I didn't want to put a lot of my staff in that because I was trying to minimize my calls already as it is. And I had put more than my share of the costs in this partnership, this event. And having you who knew what they were doing rather than trying to prep my team on what to do was magnificent. You were just like on fire and stuff.
Well, I turned on, because I used to be a personal assistant. So like before I actually kind of came into my rhythm of my own service offerings, when you had asked me to help out, I turned on that brain. And that brain is a yes man. It's just a yes. What do you need? Okay, great. We'll make it work. Take off my jacket. We'll make it work. And it was just such a switch that kind of got turned on from, 10 years ago when I used to be one. So it was a nice way to see like, okay, so this is what she's looking for. We're going to go above and beyond because she's the client, but also I like hanging out with her. So it just ended up, and I think with working with you, that was the foundation of the kind of clients that I picked, because if I got along with them, I'm going to go above and beyond because I appreciate and respect my client. If someone hires me to come along and our personalities don't match, or they're very, very dry, or they're just not a giver in a way, I'm not going to work for you. I never felt like I worked for you that day. I felt like I worked with you.
Yeah, and that's what I enjoy. Exactly. Yeah. And you know what was great about having you working with me was you understood what my needs were without me explaining it all. You were able to be proactive. You were able to get the gist of what my needs were and then take it from there and stuff. And I am a teacher because I'm a leader. And I do believe in teaching and guiding my team, but I also need people that know how to just jump in and say, all right, let me get 2 steps ahead of her. I know this is the gist of what she needs, but I think this will help her too. And I think this will, you were on point, and it led to, as embarrassing as this is, I was like, can I hire you? And you was like, that's not the scope of my plan for my business. And I was like, okay, well, my bad.
But that was the best part, was like, that was the best compliment, because I at one point I was so proud of being a personal assistant to like these high profile people. And then I had to remember that like the reason why I had been so compliant in my own career was because I had the assistant mentality, which was just follow, like just say yes and follow. And I knew at that time of my life, I needed to shift it. And now I'm the boss. Yeah. And now I get an assistant. And now I do this stuff. So when you would ask me to do a few of these things, I'm like, I absolutely could. However, I'm kind of going in a different direction, but here's 14 people I can offer that could potentially help you, and I'm sorry. And then you got married, and then we just kind of kept in touch. And I feel like every time we see each other at events, it's like, oh, friend. And it's so exciting.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. We seem to run in the same circle. We build a friendship. And it's a friendship where
professional friendship. We're like,
absolutely. That's what I was going to say. We're busy. We're still busy doing our own thing, but we always circle right back around. You've made a lot of referrals to me for strategic partnerships, a term that I've learned from you. Strategic partnership, because I was doing that, not realizing I was doing that.
Right. Right.
So I didn't know the title of what I was doing before I came to that workshop and learned that phrase from you.
All day.
I do it all the time.
Yeah, and that's why I think you and I, or that's why I was so gravitated towards working with you, because sometimes with clients, they don't get it yet, which is fine, which is what I do. I coach them to understand what a strategic partner is. But like I never felt like with you, I ever had to explain the value of something.
Right.
What I explained was like all I did was explain to you, like, here's what this is. Take it how you see fit, and here's some best practices. And it was never there was never a pushback. And you know, in this business, you get a lot of pushback, and you get a lot of people that are asking you for your value.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and it was so refreshing to work with somebody who I felt had the same energy level, which is sometimes hard to find. You completely understand that.
Yeah.
But also recognize that, like, without saying it, we both trusted each other to get the job done.
Absolutely.
And we didn't have to like convince each other that we could do it. We showed it with how we responded to each other, how we interacted, how quickly things got done, and how and the you know, the ending of how it all went down. And that, I think, was a powerful, you know, realization, at least in my services, to recognize, like, this is what a client looks like. This is what a friend looks like. These are the kinds of people I want in my corner, because I don't have to convince you that I have value. And that, for me, at the time, was a big thing.
Absolutely. And how remarkable is it to not only be able, I feel as though talent recognizes talent, but to be able to work aside one another without the threat and the fear of someone taking and running with you.
As women too, right? Like, as so many times, it's like this in different industries. Powerful women. You and I you are an A++. I joke, I'm like, I'm a B-. Like, you're an A type and I'm a B-. Which is why it's we're not like punching each other.
That's not the first time you've described me as an A+ personality, A-type personality. This is the first time I've heard an A++.
Not gonna,
I own it.
But that's how I describe you to people, and they're like, all right, well, tell me about Gracie. She's A++. She will get the job done. You literally have nothing to worry about. She's thought about 14 different ways for you to do things.
I love that about you. Yeah.
It's just easy. But like, I based off of personality. I've seen you put, you know, events together. They're fantastic. And I've seen everything you've accomplished. That's fantastic. I have never been a client of yours, so I have no idea of the actual, I don't have any experience in the process of working as a client, but I know the result, and I know the personality, which is all I need to make the intro.
I appreciate that, yeah.
So to kind of go back to your question, so the way that it kind of worked with myself is that I would go to events with clients, I'd be the extension, I would go to conferences with clients too, to do the pre, the during, and the post.
Right.
So all the stuff beforehand, what kind of vendors are you looking to meet, what kind of strategic partnerships are you looking to build? I'd go in as an extension of that team, either to work in the booth or swapping out and going to the different vendors, getting their contact information, talking about that company, that product, and being a part of the situation.
Right.
I went to Vegas for CES in January.
Ooh.
I went to Vegas. I hate Vegas, by the way. It smells like depression and cigarettes. But I went to Vegas with a client. And went to Vegas with a client, and so their company is it's an augmented reality furniture company. So what they do is they have this app that will size up the space that you have. Right. And then it will create custom made furniture. So especially So especially for small client or small like
Love it.
Yep. So it's all custom made for you, and they have like a couple different samples and all stuff. It's amazing. I will give you their information. Anyway.
Yeah, you got to send me that information.
I will. It's called Baru. So they hired me so they worked with a consultant who's a good friend of mine. His name's Chris Joyce. Love him. You and him, holy cow. I gotta make that intro. I'm actually scared because he's my special scary friend that will tell you and yell at you and you don't know if you're getting yelled at or getting affirmed in what you're talking about. It's the best. So it's like,
I'll take it on. Bring it.
Like he's one of those guys that will call me up. He goes, I have a job for you. Give me 10 minutes. I'm like, okay. And then he hangs up the phone. All right. So he calls me back. He goes, this is what the job is. He goes, I've already convinced him to hire you. All you got to do is make a phone call to the owner. I'm like, great. No problem. Like, awesome. They hired me 4 weeks before the biggest, the conference has over 125,000 attendees. It's like 75 miles of vendors. It's insane. It's the biggest conference in the country. So anyway, so the reason why I'm bringing it up is because I had 4 weeks to figure out a bunch of stuff. And as far as the process of like, we couldn't do much stuff during is going to have to be after the first day. We're going to get our bearings, and I'm going to have to train everybody in the booth how to network, how to effectively network. And their goal was to find investors in the company, and that's the place to find it because in the space that they inhabited.
Awesome.
What we came up with at the 11th hour, the day before, was in order for us to make the booth an experience, which is something I had brought up. I'm like, people are going to want to take swag. We don't have enough. There's not enough stuff. What could we do to make the booth an experience? And so this comes back to networking. So what we did was Chris goes, Ashley, you're a host. I'm like, of what? I've got 17, of what? And he goes, because I'm not thinking of me. I'm thinking of the client, right? Like I'm turning me off and like going, he goes, you're a host. Why don't we just put a show in the booth? So, oh shit. So what we did was one of their promotional things that they had was WTF, what the furniture. And I was like, okay, can we spin that? So it was exactly the WTF show, which is we would bring people over, we would interview them on social using our phones. We ran to like Best Buy and got like microphones and stuff.
Awesome.
And we had people that were kind of like waffling over. I'm like, hey, come over, we're going to interview you about your WTF moment of the conference. So what did you see that was crazy? And, why are you here? So basically we're asking them questions, qualifying questions, and that would trigger either an introduction to the owner or more information about the product. So it was kind of the first step, like a fun, engaging, we built content. We were, they understood that the questions that I was asking had nothing to do with the furniture, but I knew the deep, meaningful business conversation questions to ask to get to see, and it ended up kind of hitting twofold. So that ended up working out, and then the follow-up afterwards was just the video, and like we did a lot of social attached to it. So it built engagement. That was the goal.
Wow, that's awesome. And this is great. This is what's so magnificent about you is nothing is impossible. No matter how big and small the event is. I'm actually glad you shared that story because that's a good example from one spectrum to the other. My experience that we talked about earlier was a very small, petite event. It was a three-way partnership between a venue that wanted to do an open house and introduce their space, me and another company within the industry, but doesn't, a floral company, put it that way, and myself. And it was the first time we all worked together, and it was done not so well, put it that way. It wasn't planned out so well among us all because one of the people that was in the partnership was in the process of getting married. We were rushing to do it, for so many different reasons. So we threw it all together in minimum time and still had a fairly decent turnout in spite of I think it was bad weather. We had some kind of hard winds or something. Yeah, it was. And then we were in competition with other events that was taking place in the city. And in spite of that, we had a decent turnout. And
Yep.
that was as small as somewhere around 30. And then you have this big event that you're talking about. That spectrum is magnificent because we still got a nice, you provided me with a roster list of all the people whose business cards you gathered and engaged with. And you did this as a solo act. Now you got this big conference, which is one of the largest conference based on your description, that took place in January in Vegas. And there were thousands and thousands of people there. And you decided to go above and beyond, and you engaged with his staff and got them involved and came up with something fantastic. You know, that's powerful. You know, and sometimes one of the reasons why I'm doing these type of interviews, let me do a Q&A written format where we ask you a few questions, and we're also doing this video chat too. The video chat's for people to get to know you and your personality, the real you, and then the Q&A is to take a deeper dive in you as an expert. I'm doing this because people, unless they actually see it or hear it, they don't understand the impact of the work of all these experts. And I had to figure out a way. My team and I came up with this concept because we had to figure out a way to really let your light shine. And I think this is the best way to do it, you know.
I love it.
Let's hear about your TV shows. Now, I was a guest on one of them, and I know you work very well with an acquaintance, Sheldon, that I've met with you, and I ended up being a guest on that show too. So, you know, I want to hear a little bit about both of the TV shows, and I definitely want to hear, and I want you to share what it is that you and Sheldon are doing together, because I think it's fantastic. I want everybody else to hear that.
Sure. So the one TV show I have is called Connect to Success, and that is on a local streaming platform on RBN TV in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. And that is a show where I interview and I give back to my network by interviewing them on who they are, what they do, what makes them awesome, and then their tactical tips and practical takeaways in networking. So I bring on people who are active in the networking scene who have something to educate on. So the goal is for the audience to be able to say, hey, this person is a financial advisor, this person's a real estate agent, this person works in events. How do they network? Because networking is such a personal activity. It's not a one-size-fits-all thing. So I bring on people to have their experience be shown through the platform, so when somebody does see it, they're going to relate to that person. Not everybody's going to relate to me. Good, they should. There's no reason to.
Right.
But they can relate to you. They'll relate to a Sheldon. They'll relate to a Bob or a Frank or whatever in different industries, and the goal is to make it so they feel like they are still getting educated on the networking activities instead of doing all this high-level BS of like build relationships. Well, if you can speak and you're an intelligent person and you have friends, you know how to build a relationship. Nurturing a relationship is different. So how do you shift that? And that's why I get, advice from other experts and people who, it's like if you're talking to your best friend, sometimes you're not going to take their advice, or you're talking to your parents, sometimes you're not going to take their advice. But if you see somebody else who's like you in that space, so that's kind of how I frame that. That's a way for me to get back to the audience. I do not get paid for that TV show. It is a good marketing opportunity for me. I think it's like 26,000 hits a month for the show. So it is a way for me to give back to my audience and to interview really exceptional people specifically in networking.
And that's a big gift from you, because it takes a lot of time out of your schedule to put those shows together.
Every week. So RBN TV will, I go in and I interview and they handle everything else. So I'm actually very, very blessed to have that. And it's been fantastic. So they do all the editing. I just go in and I make the interviews. Because of the pandemic, everyone's doing Zoom interviews, but I'm still going to the studio. So I'm like, so it's kind of like I'm talking to you. It feels very CNN-like, right? You get somebody here and then somebody here. It's very crazy. But I mean, there's no reason for me to stop, because everyone's looking for content, which is exactly what it should be. So That's RBN TV. Now, on the other flip side of that is a show that, so This Is It TV is a network that is run by Sheldon Bartlett Rumor, who is a powerhouse. She teaches on personal branding. She's insane. Personal branding. She is a keynote speaker. She's better than both of us in all things. It's insane. And she does, so she will be the person that you hire to go and do the red carpet at a very exclusive event. She will do the PR for different things, and she's incredible. My point is, she is a dynamic speaker, but she has this network of women, this digital network of women, where everybody has their own TV show, and they talk about different topics that are important to them. This show that I put together, because my background is in film and television on the back end with an editing and all that stuff and performing, I write the segments, they film it, and then I edit all of it. So the show is called Ask Ashley Assists. And Ask Ashley Assists is a breakdown of, again, staying in my lane, networking, but I show my personality even further, and I'm a little bit more self-deprecating, but I'm making the education fun. So if I go into a statement about, so I kind of break out the segments. The first is, you know, things that are going on that day. Not, I mean, 30 seconds maybe. And then we go into a topic. We go into tools and resources based off of that topic. And then the last bit is what bothers me. Usually things that bother me in networking, which is super funny. So I go in and I rant about something. And because I cheat, I have an editing background, I cut it up so it's super funny and super self-deprecating. But the thing is, there's so many, it's so funny. There's so many people out there that are positioning themselves as subject matter experts, but the content is very droned down and obnoxious. So I'm trying to educate my audience in a way that they feel like networking is no longer something they should be afraid of, and that I will screw up. I mean, I'm an SME in this, but I will screw up. And if you screw up, here's a way to not to do what I did. And so it's to make it, you know, acceptable in that space. So those are the two shows. RBN TV has not been put on a hiatus. Ask Ashley Assist has, because I've been so goddamn busy that I'm trying to make sure that if I'm going to put out content, let's say in the comfort of my own home, then I'm going to make sure that it is specific to the themes that I have experienced, rather than putting something together and saying, we'll just talk about this. So for example, I had one of the topics, I think, because my hair looks good today, so I may just do a video. I may do a video on, again, quick 30 to 2-minute video about, I have the pleasure and the privilege to coach, you know, individuals, so entrepreneurs and business owners and business development managers who are trying to figure out going on-site to online networking, virtual networking. So I get a wonderful women, usually my majority of women who come to me. And one of the things that I cannot stress enough about the conversations that I've had with them has been, they already know what they're doing. And what they're calling me for is permission to do it. And so I find that like half the time I'm on a call with them, and it's not a therapy session, it's more of like, you're a mother, of course you're going to be able to do this. And why do you can't? So it ends up me just yelling affirmations at them, getting them motivated to get some of these tasks done, and being like, you got this. Like, you wasted my time today. You already know what you're doing. You already know what you're doing. Don't even worry. So it's kind of like yelling and getting them excited and making them laugh and recognizing like the activity is there. You know what you're doing. You know how to engage it. Here's a way to amp it up. Here's some great, you know, tools to amp it up. And here's some, you know, if you have any questions, we'll answer them. But you know, the goal, I'm finding that that's a common theme, because everyone's so overwhelmed and they need permission that they're going in the right direction.
Absolutely. I think I'm looking for my document, because I have pre-written questions that I ask every guest. I think your format is remarkable, because I am, how do I say this? I am a straight shooter, but who understands boundaries. I gotta tell you this story. So I had an employee that worked for me, and she kind of crossed her boundaries. And I said,
that's comfortable?
Yeah. And I said, you know, what are you doing? You don't talk to your boss that way. She says, well, you said when I first interviewed that you are, that we are very transparent here. I said transparent does not mean you can cross the line with your thoughts. But what I love is your approach, even with the work that you do. Uh-oh, that's the alarm. Hold on one second. We're still going to go over a little bit.
Okay, no problem.
So the work that you do is transparent, but in such a way that is accepted. I don't want someone that's going to blow smoke up my skirt. I don't want someone that's going to appease me and pacify me. I want someone that's going to get my attention when they're communicating to me. And like you said, a lot of your clients just wants that confirmation or to validate what they want to do and stuff. And your way of talking and engaging with people is kind of like talking to that sister or talking to that close friend of theirs and saying, you got this, girl, go ahead. So you're kind of like a cheerleader with a lot of knowledge, resources, and experience behind you. And that's what I applaud you for. I love that style about you.
I failed a lot. And so I think that kind of gives me an edge of being like, the worst that can happen is that you screwed up. And then what you're going to do next is you're not going to do that again.
Yeah. Well, success comes with failure. You can't get there without it. And I cringe for those who start their business off and they soar right away. And they're like, wow, my business took off and all this kind of stuff. And I say, yeah, but it's going to come down. What goes up must come down. So you act like
you haven't been punched in the face yet. Like you haven't been punched in the face yet.
Exactly. So my idea when I started my business, although I wasn't thrilled about it on a financial level for revenue and sales, I still appreciate it because it gave me an opportunity to build that foundation. So being able to slowly climb and go up that radar, increasing for me, I value that more than anything because, like you said, I got punched in the face a couple of times. I got punched in the gut. I walked away with a bruised eye, all from this. So once my success, when I get to the level that I expect my company to be at, once I get there, I already know how to navigate. I already know how to troubleshoot because I've been there, done that. It's not my first rodeo type of thing.
I love that you know how to troubleshoot. You learned how to troubleshoot. You hit it so much on the head. I talk to 8 people a day. I have introduction calls with 8 people a day. I mean, all day, every day. And everyone's story is important. Yeah. What frustrates me the most is people that call me up and say, oh, I do what you do. Okay, let's talk about that for a second. Or it's, I don't want to, well, that sounds hard. Yeah. Okay, that sounds hard. Well, this is the business that you want to put together. You've done no market research. You've put this because you wanted to. You have no idea how you're going to make money. You're only going to identify ways because you just want to do it. That's great. But now you're asking me, which is fine, for advice, but you haven't done the preliminary stuff of like, what's your why? And that gives me it feels, and this is probably a personal thing, but it feels like, God damn, I did so much. I trialed and errored so much in the beginning. Right. And now you want a shortcut. And yes, I can't appease that. I will give you all the advice in the world, not for free, but I would be happy to put you in the right direction. Yes. I've gotten better. I'm not doing things for people for free anymore. Yeah, I kind of get yelled at, I think, by you and a couple other people. They're like, what are you doing? I'm like, everybody's a friend. It's fine. And so, you learn, but you learn, when you need to. So. Well, and it's very generous, but sometimes it can be misguided because I've learned from that. I've had so many people come to me for mentorship, but they wanted things done easily and they don't like everything that they hear. And when the first thing I say to them, just because you plan somebody's wedding or you host your Halloween party or holiday party, doesn't make you a professional planner. Go get your credentials
And starting a business is not a fly-by-night type of thing. You need to know what you're doing. You need to set your business up appropriately. You need to write, do you have a business plan? Do you have a marketing plan? I've had people say to me, I said, well, what is your niche? What is the services? What's your brand? Describe that to me. I don't know. I haven't thought about it. You're not ready to have a business. You're holding me up for getting the clients that are coming to you for a bargain. And now I got to justify my costs.
Right.
Them because they've come to people like you. Now, if you want to be successful, you've got to be willing to do the work in advance. It took me a month and a half to put my business plan together because it was the first time I've done it. And when I wrote my business plan, I wrote it with a 10-year vision. 10 years. This is what I see it within 10 years and stuff, because this was no joke to me. I was ready to walk away from my security blanket, my full-time job from the pharmaceutical world. I was walking away from all of that security, and I was taking whatever I had and investing it into this business. You damn well bet I'm going to be prepared.
People don't realize that there's so much at stake emotionally and physically. Like, there's so much at stake. And when you decide, it's not just you wake up and you decide. It's like you've done so much. Something pissed you off enough to be like, nope, doing this myself. You got to be a little screwed up in the head to start a business. That's like you do. You got to be a little tweaked out to start a business because there's no rules. I didn't go to business school. Did you go to business school? I didn't go to business school. You didn't go to business school. And then the other thing, oh my gosh, we could talk about things that bother me all day. The other thing is everyone calls themselves a subject matter expert. I have not called myself an SME. I did not call myself an SME ever until somebody introduced me as such.
There you go.
And that's when I was like, okay, looks like I
can recognize that way. Okay. Yeah. Now I got to ask you this question real quick, a fun fact question.
Oh, fun fact.
And we got the video can't be more than 40 minutes long, so we got 3 minutes. We got all right. What celebrity would you rate as a perfect 10 and why?
10 as in like I want to make sweet love to him, or as like a best friend that I want to hang out with?
Whatever your definition of 10 is.
Okay, who is my current crush? Let me tell you. So I've been watching Outlander, Sam Heughan. It's a problem. I get distracted during the day going through his Instagram. So that gentleman, he is Scottish, and I am all about it. Whatever he's doing, I'm like, I'm going to buy whatever you're selling, sir. And then let's say a best friend. I like Anna Kendrick.
Okay.
Anna Kendrick would be a good friend. But the one celebrity that changed my life when I was a kid was Robin Williams.
Wow.
So I look up
Robin Williams? I loved him.
I mean, I still I think about him once in a while. I have a magazine of like all of his best stuff that I think the Times put out, and I have it on my coffee table. And that man, he made it okay to be weird. And as a kid, having all this energy and having all these things I want to do and not really having a voice, he made me talking fast okay. Nice. He made me having like different thoughts and like kind of jumping around and not really having okay, you know. And I think my personality is coming off of mimicking his style because it was so profound as a kid. So yeah, that was
comfortable in your skin because of him.
I am now as an adult starting my business. Yes, when I was a kid, I looked up to him because he felt like home.
Nice. Love that. Ashley, I just want to say thank you for this time. I know how busy you are. You're on top of everything that you that you have going on, and your time is precious, and I get that. I would love to do this again with you because I just love catching up with you. We don't get to see each other that often, especially with this coronavirus. So if you will, would love to have you back someday in the near future. Oh, by the way, Ashley is going to be a keynote speaker for us at our virtual event on June 6th.
Just cut it there. Just cut it there.
Talk to you soon. Mwah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.